Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. Well, the big four leaders meet at the Quad Summit. United States, India, Japan and Australia. Quad is a force for good, Prime Minister Modi says in their statement. They strongly support democracy and territorial integrity, condemn any attempt to violate sovereignty, also condemn the use of terrorist proxies and cross-border terror. President Biden says that he's looking to make the India-US partnership to be amongst the closest on earth. NDTV at Davos, India's biggest bank chief, the State Bank of India, speaks to NDTV, says he expects a rate hike coming up in the first week of June, the next RBI meeting. Punjab's chief minister sacks his health minister. The minister is then arrested by the anti-corruption branch. He's sacked and arrested on corruption charges just 2 months after new government took over. Arvind Kejriwal praises the Punjab chief minister, saying the move has brought tears to people's eyes. The opposition attacks the AAP, says it's an eyewash on corruption. A policeman is shot dead. His 7-year-old daughter who is with him was also shot. She's critical. This coming after a series of targeted killings as terrorists now target even children in the Kashmir Valley. The LG strongly condemns this attack on this policeman. Puja at Qutub Minar, hearing a plea. The Archaeological Survey of India opposes the plea strongly, says that you can't convert a protected monument into a place of worship. The judge, while hearing the case, says what legal right gives you recourse against something that happened 800 years ago. He will give his judgment on the 9th of June. Hateful communal slogans by a child at a People's Front of India rally. One person is arrested. The young child and his parents are now missing, say the state police. Meanwhile, the BJP and the Congress attacked the state government on the permission for this rally. Our lead story tonight, a crucial meeting of the Quad, that is the heads of state of 4 nations, India, the United States, Japan and Australia, held a joint in-person meeting today, an important declaration after the Quad Summit meeting which stressed on the importance of democratic values and territorial integrity. The Quad statement also condemned the 26/11 and the Pulwama attacks and made the point that all cross-border terror and use of terrorist proxies must be strongly condemned, including the use of Afghanistan's soil as a terror base. Also, the big focus of the bilateral between Prime Minister Modi and President Biden, where President Biden said he wants to make the India-US partnership amongst the closest on earth. The Quad Summit, of course, also sending a strong message to China.
With the threat of China weighing heavily on their minds, the leaders of India, the US, Japan and Australia, the Quad, met in Tokyo today. With the BJP trumpeting this photograph as proof that India was leading the world. The Quad announced new steps to solidify their alliance. That included a new maritime collaboration to counter illegal fishing by Chinese vessels. The joint statement, which also talks of cooperation on climate change, cybersecurity, infrastructure, says, the Quad is a force for good. We strongly support the principles of freedom, rule of law, democratic values, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. And without naming China and Taiwan, the statement goes on to say, we discussed our respective responses to the conflict in Ukraine and assessed its implication for the Indo-Pacific. Quad leaders reiterated our strong resolve to maintain peace and stability in the region.
क्वाड इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र के लिए एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव एजेंडा लेकर चल रहा है। इससे क्वाड की छवि एक फोर्स फॉर गुड के रूप में और भी सुदृढ़ होती जाएगी।
Prime Minister Modi, it's wonderful to see you again in person. Thank you for your continuing commitment to making sure democracies deliver. Because that's what this is about, democracies versus autocracies, and we have to make sure we deliver.
हमने एक और सकारात्मक
Shortly afterwards, the Prime Minister and President Biden held a bilateral meeting where any differences over Russia seemed to be a thing of the past, at least publicly.
भारत और अमेरिका की स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप सही मायने में एक पार्टनरशिप ऑफ ट्रस्ट है.
I'm committed to making U.S.-India partnership among the closest we have on earth.
China has been dismissive of Quad, saying it is doomed to fail. But the threat from Beijing has brought these countries together within a short span of time, and now they have expanded their cooperation. Even the unease on India's position on Russia within Quad appears to have gone away with the greater understanding of New Delhi's position. In Tokyo, Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
NDTV is also at Davos Live, where Vishnu spoke to the chief of India's biggest bank, the State Bank of India, and he's predicting another rates hike coming up soon. The next meeting of the RBI's Monetary Policy Committee is in the first week of June.
The interest rate hike which we've seen recently, do you believe there could be another one as well?
Yeah, because the very purpose of the interest rate hike was essentially to suck the excess liquidity in from the system. So I think considering the stage where we are, we can perhaps get to see some more interest rate hike. But I would say that it would be something which is more on the expected lines. It should not be something out of the expected lines.
How many more basis points do you expect the interest rate to
We actually pre-pandemic the level was 5.15. We are at 4.40. So we expect that maybe another 75 basis point. But it will, I think much of it will depend upon the kind of data which will be available to RBI at the time of the policy meeting, and they will be very closely evaluating that data, and accordingly they will be taking it on.
The SBI chief there at Davos. Well, we'll be going over to Raghav Chadha, also at Davos soon. But this is also, besides the fact that he's there as a young global leader, about the unprecedented move by the Punjab chief minister, who sacked his health minister today, just 2 months after the government has been sworn in on corruption charges. And that minister has now been arrested.
Just 2 months after forming the government, Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has sacked his health minister over corruption charges, sending a strong signal of no tolerance over corruption. Vijay Singla was quickly arrested and brought to the police station in Mohali.
मैं अपनी आम आदमी पार्टी ਦੀ ਇਮਾਨਦਾਰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਭ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟਾਚਾਰੀ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਖਾਸਤ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੇਸ ਦਰਜ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਿਰਦੇਸ਼ ਵੀ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਕਈ ਵਿਰੋਧੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਕਹਿਣਗੀਆਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ 2 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਕਰਪਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਤੇ ਕਾਰਵਾਈ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਹੀ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ।
ਕਰਪਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਇਲਜ਼ਾਮ ਲੱਗੇ ਨੇ, ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੈ, ਬਦਨਾਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੈ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਕਾਰ।
Singla was allegedly taking 1% commission on all tenders floated by the Health and Family Welfare Department. Singla's removal came as a surprise to many, with no hint of any impending action against the minister. However, according to government sources, the complaint against Singla came to the Chief Minister's office nearly 10 days ago from a government officer. A sting operation was subsequently launched by the government. Singla demanded 1% commission from contracts. The Aam Aadmi Party convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal praised Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann for his action and recalled how he too had sacked one of his ministers in 2015.
भगवंत, हमें आपके ऊपर गर्व है। कई लोगों की आंखों में खुशी के आंसू हैं।
While the opposition Congress welcomed the decision, the BJP took a dig at Kejriwal.
6 अप्रैल 2022 जो भ्रष्टाचार आपने खत्म कर दिया था 20 दिन में, आप ये स्वीकार रहे हैं कि उसको पुनर्जन्म आपने ही कराया।
Apart from the health minister, his OSD has also been booked in the case. While corruption is invariably a campaign issue, the Aam Aadmi Party's sacking of its own minister will take that to a new level in the upcoming Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh polls. With Mohammad Ghazali in Punjab, NDTV Bureau Report.
And on his way to the police station, the health minister has reacted, saying it's a conspiracy against AAP and him.
करप्शन ਦੇ ਇਲਜ਼ਾਮ ਲੱਗੇ ਨੇ, ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੈ, ਬਦਨਾਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੈ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਕਾਰ।
That minister, a very well-known dentist, and in fact, when all these people had been elected, these MLAs, AAP had said how many doctors and dentists are now coming to politics. But joining me now on that, I'm going across to somebody who was very much actively involved in that Punjab election. Raghav Chadha joins me from Davos. Mr. Chadha, sorry to be asking about Punjab politics even in Davos, but I guess as a 24/7 politician, this is a big issue, and you're making the point. You tweeted that this is what makes AAP stand out as a party. Why do you say that?
Well, Punjab has taken most of my time today, so you are absolutely right in questioning me about it. Yes, of course, this is a very, very courageous and a bold step, and only, leadership that has unimpeachable integrity and uprightness can demonstrate such political will to act against corruption. And a clear message has gone that there will be zero tolerance towards corruption in our administration. You know, in other political parties, you get kickbacks. In our party, those who seek kickbacks are kicked out. In other parties, ministers get cuts. Here, ministers get cut off for seeking cuts. In other parties, prosecution sanctions are withheld. In our party, the state's own police is directed to act against those, how irrespective of how mighty and strong they are, irrespective of the portfolio they hold, if they're indulging in acts of corruption. And, quite frankly, nobody had a whiff of it. No media, no opposition leader, no one knew about it. Yet, the government, instead of doing a cover-up, sacked their own minister. I think something similar was done by Mr. Kejriwal in the year 2015.
He had mentioned that, but let me just
when he sacked his own food and civil supplies minister.
Let me just ask you, Mr. Chadha, that the point which the BJP is saying, that AAP said it's a new kind of politics. You brought in new people. Now, this even Mr. Singla is a very well-known dentist. You brought in a lot of professionals into politics. So in that sense, bringing in new people is not really changing corruption, which is entrenched in Indian politics.
Look, first of all, we have more than 1 crore active members across the country. We gave tickets to 117 candidates in the state of Punjab. We can't personally vouch for each and every person and say that every person who has been given a ticket by the Aam Aadmi Party is a person with unimpeachable integrity. It's just not possible. However, if evidence of corruption furnishes, if irrefutable evidence of acts of corruption come before us, we will not hesitate in initiating action, even if it is a member of our own clan. And that is the message that is to be taken. In other parties, you see corruption is there from top bottom. In our party, a minister in a newly sworn in government in less than 75 days in office has been sacked because he was seeking 1% bribe. Therefore, it is not about the quantum of money also, Sonia. It's not about 1% or 1 rupee. It is about the act of corruption.
No, and it is an extremely bold move, but of course, your political opponents also, Mr. Chadha, will make the point that in the BJP, chief ministers are changed. So what's the big deal about changing a health minister?
Look, BJP changes chief ministers and ministers out of political compulsions because they see that they're losing states after states because of absolutely plagued leadership. I mean, in the year 2017, somebody just told me about this and I checked facts and he was absolutely right. In 2017, BJP was running governments in 72% of India's landmass. They are now reduced to 49% in the year 2022. So therefore, BJP is on the decline and as they say in Hindi, marta kya nahi karta. So they have to change their leadership. On the other hand, Aam Aadmi Party's case is not comparable with that of the BJP. In our case, a minister was seen indulging in an act of corruption. Irrefutable evidence came before us, recordings came before us, and the Honorable Chief Minister of Punjab, Mr. Bhagwant Mann, acted without any hesitation. I salute to him. It's an absolutely commendable, move by him, and it shows that Aam Aadmi Party is a kattar imandar party, as Mr. Kejriwal pointed out in his video. Right. We're a kattar imandar party, and this is what some of us actually came for when we left our careers, not to make a career in politics. But in fact, left our careers to clean Indian politics, and in the
No, and it's interesting to see you, and congratulations, you were chosen as one of the young global leaders of the WEF at Davos. But we've got ministers, central government ministers, we've got chief ministers, we've got you there. What is the India story at Davos currently? It's nice actually to see all this political spectrum.
Thank you so much. Yes, I've been chosen as the young global leader. Yes, I've been chosen as a young global leader by WEF. It's my first time at Davos, and there's a lot of excitement around India. I must tell you, I am standing right across the promenade, which is the main street that leads to the Congress Center, in which every country showcases its products, the investment opportunities that are there in the country, etc. And India is the only country that has more than 4 or 5 stalls. You have Andhra Pradesh stall, then a Telangana, then Tamil Nadu, then Madhya Pradesh, and then the India Lounge. So I think there's a huge, heavy presence of India at the WEF 2022 annual meeting.
Right.
And I am very fortunate that I have been given this, this honor to attend the WEF 2022. And I personally, and permit me to say this, Sonia, this is not the recognition of an individual Raghav Chadha. I think this is a recognition of the new brand of politics that Mr. Kejriwal has started in India. I just signify I'm a small part of that, and I've come here as a brand ambassador of the Kejriwal School of Politics. So it's been a phenomenal learning experience for me personally at WEF.
Right, and thanks so much. As it is nice to see the whole political spectrum of India being showcased there as well. But the reality of politics, that today at least your focus was Punjab. Thanks so much, Raghav Chadha, for joining us. But let's just go across now to breaking news coming in from Andhra Pradesh of the minister's house actually being burnt down over the renaming of a district. Uma Sudhir joins me for more. Uma, what are these details of this incident that we're seeing of a minister's house, buses there being targeted, this violence? What's happened?
This happened in the Amalapuram town of Andhra Pradesh at a time when, of course, the Chief Minister, Jagan Mohan Reddy, also happens to be in Davos. And this was over the recently a newly constituted district, Konaseema, was formed, and subsequently the administration has said that they should be named. It was a political decision to name it as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Konaseema district. And certain groups came forward and said that it should not be named after Dr. Ambedkar, but it should remain as Konaseema. And the visuals that we are getting out of Amalapuram, in fact, very, very disturbing, because this kind of an arson and violence one has really not seen in a long while in these areas. And what happened was that these people have wanted to take out a protest rally, which the police had stopped, and the crowds, the protesters, in fact, started pelting stones at the police, and the district police chief as well, and some policemen were injured as well, and there was a lathi charge. And subsequently, things got pretty out of hand, because in a private educational institution, the bus was burned right there, and then the house of the transport minister, Mr. Pinireti Vishwaroop, was also targeted. In fact, luckily, the family members and he were shifted to safety. Now, Mr. Vishwaroop says that this is, he calls this the mischief or the hand of the Telugu Desam, Janasena, and he's also naming the BJP and blaming them for the kind of violence that took place. But critics are saying that, in fact, he had not acted in time, and that's why. And
it is actually horrifying to see this violence targeting a minister's house there. As you said, the family is safe, and also that bus being burnt. Luckily, people were not in it, but it's distressing of the renaming of a district. But let's go across now live to Nazir in Srinagar, where again an absolutely tragic, horrific story of terrorists killing a policeman. But what's worse is that now terrorists are even targeting young children. They also shot his 7-year-old daughter, who's critical. The policeman, the brave policeman killed. Nazir, let's go over to you. This now is really about a new series of targeted killings being carried out by terrorists, but a 7-year-old girl being shot who was with her father. It really is heartbreaking what happened there today.
Well, it is beyond heartbreaking when 7-year-old child is being targeted when she was with her father right outside their home in Saura here in Srinagar. When gunmen came, they targeted brazen terror attack where even innocent little child was not spared. Saifuddin Qadri was critically injured. He was shifted to hospital where doctors declared him dead on arrival. And this is part of the series of attacks, target attacks on policemen, on civilian, on panchayat members, on Kashmiri Pandits, on migrant laborers in the valley for the last 6-7 months. And there's no end to these. It's a vicious cycle of these attacks where innocent people are being targeted. For example, this man, he was a defenseless person. He was not carrying a weapon. He was like any other civilian outside his home with the people where he was, shot dead there. Recently, we saw another policeman was killed in Pulwama inside his home. In Badgam last month, one policeman and his brother were killed. Last year, one policeman, his wife, his son, they were killed in Tral. So police force, which has been on the forefront in fight against militancy, they are increasingly becoming target of these target attacks in Kashmir. We see for last 13 days, there are protests by Kashmiri
Absolutely.
after that brutal killing of the Rahul Bhatt in a target attack inside magistrate's office. We heard yesterday Lieutenant Governor talking about that you cannot even trust your shadow. So that is the kind
No,
of
it is actually shocking. The point you made of and what the jihad can actually justify children being targeted, innocent people being targeted in this manner. We're seeing, as I talk, the visuals of all the people who lost their lives in just the last few months. Men in uniform, people who are working for the government really for no fault of their own. We hope this triggers a major security reassessment there in the valley. Nazir, thanks very much for joining me. A quick look at other news. Well, a plea today in a Delhi court asking that puja be allowed at Qutub Minar. But the Archaeological Survey of India came out strongly saying that we cannot agree to this. We oppose this plea because this is a protected monument. How can you now make it into a place of worship? The court has reserved its judgment for the 9th of January, but asked the petitioner that how can you now ask for legal right of restoration for something that happened 800 years ago? I mean, that's really a question that can apply to these petitions across India, which are coming up now. The final judgment there on the 9th of June. And a district judge, the senior most judge in Varanasi, who's hearing the Gyan Vapi Masjid controversy, has said that the hearings will now start in his court on the 26th of May. The first plea to be heard will be the mosque committee plea against the current video survey that was held. Both sides have asked to file objections also to the survey report. The Varanasi court is now hearing the Gyan Vapi Masjid case after the Supreme Court ordered it be heard by an experienced judge. The survey commission report claimed that an ancient shivling had been found in a pool in the masjid area. Moving to other news now. Well, a huge political round Kerala after a young boy, he looks about estimated to be around 10 years old, shouting communal hateful slogans at a PFI rally. The video of the minor boy raising slogans has gone viral. The boy and his family are now missing, though one man has been arrested. Meanwhile, this has become a huge political row in Kerala.
This child, who should be in school, seems spearheading protests by extremist Muslim group PFI. After this video of him shouting hate slogans went viral, the boy, believed to be around 10, has gone missing, as have his parents.
അത് നമുക്ക് ആദ്യം കുട്ടി ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യണമല്ലോ. എന്തായാലും രക്ഷകർത്താക്കളും ബാക്കി എന്താണ് അതിനകത്ത് വന്നത്, ആരാണ് കുട്ടിയെന്നും എങ്ങനെ ഈ ഒരു മുദ്രാവാക്യം വിളിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളതിനും.
The incident was reported on Saturday and the case was registered today by the Kerala police under IPC section 153A for promoting enmity between religious groups against the man carrying the child and against the organizer of the rally. The man carrying the child has now been arrested. The FIR comes after the Kerala High Court expressed concerns and after the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights directed the police to take action. After the video went viral, PFI State Secretary C.A. Rao clarified that the slogans shouted by the child did not reflect the sentiments of the outfit. Both KJ Alphonse of the BJP and Shashi Tharoor from the Congress have condemned the incident that took place in Kerala. The cops tell NDTV that they have launched a lookout for this particular minor boy who made such inflammatory slogans throughout the Alapura town. In fact, the parents are also missing at this point in time. An inquiry has also been ordered by the Kerala police. In Kerala, with camera person Babu Shrija for NDTV.